What's up, all you good people, and welcome to Caffeine and Conversation. My name is Shar, and I serve as your host, your navigator, as we journey through living a life successfully after divorce. Yes, it is possible because divorce is not terminal, and being single is not a sickness. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I thank you so much for joining me again. So before we get started, just a couple of things. First of all, if this is your first time here, I want you to check out my introductory video that will be either on this side or this side. You'll see a little eye, and that will give you the context, kind of the backstory behind how Caffeine and Conversation was birthed. Also, this is a place of positivity, and that's how we want it to stay. So if you want to make comments or if you have ideas or suggestions, all I ask is that you be respectful and kind. Because I think one thing that we can definitely use a lot more of during this time, we can use a lot more kindness. So let's just be kind to one another, okay? Also, I am not a therapist or a counselor. I am just a woman who, at 40 years old and after 20 years of marriage, was going through a divorce. Definitely one of the most just hardest things that I've ever been through. And my experiences, I believe, can help someone else move through this process, maybe just a little bit easier. And with that being said, remember, this is my story, my experiences, my process. So when you hear me saying things that I did or different parts of my story, just remember, it's not a one size fits all when it comes to divorce and moving through divorce and how to handle your emotions and your feelings. Because if you're going through it, you know that your feelings can kind of be all over the place. But I hope that what I can share with you maybe will just help make things a little easier. So grab your favorite caffeinated drink or non-caffeinated drink, because today we're really gonna dive in. So take a little sip and let's get ready for this week's session. So this week we're going to be talking about the F word. Not that F word. The F word I'm referring to is forgiveness. And I laugh because forgiveness is not easy. But I believe that forgiveness is the key to healing. We've all heard this. Forgiveness is for you, not the person who offended you. And I truly believe that that's a fact. Because what forgiveness does for you, it releases you from the hurt. Once you make the decision to forgive, you will begin to let go. Now, forgiveness is not oh, I forgive you. No, it's a process. And no one can tell you how long it's going to take. But when you get there, you'll know it. But it does require you doing some work. And it does require you being maybe the bigger or better person. But it does take you to a place of being well and being whole and being healed. And I would hope that that is your goal, that you want to reach that place. So let's just talk about a few areas of forgiveness. Or unforgiveness. Yeah, let's talk first about the consequences of unforgiveness. If you choose to not forgive, it keeps you wrapped up in this emotional prison. But when you do forgive, it begins to release you from the pain. And I believe that that's what you want. You want to be released from the pain. You don't want to stay angry and bitter. Because let me tell you something. Before I chose to forgive, I was living in that place of just anger, bitterness, stewing in it, living in it, right? And for a while, I said, I'm not going to forgive. Why should I forgive him? He was the offender. So why should I forgive him? And as I continued in counseling and therapy, as I found the wonderful support group of Divorce Care, I will put a link in the description box so you can see if there's a group in your area. And also the time that I spent alone with God, there was no way that I could receive all of this information and not choose to forgive. I think when you know better, you do better. And once I grasped the idea and knew that it was the right thing to do for me, I set out on this path of forgiveness. Another consequence of unforgiveness is the physical effects. I went through having headaches, stomach issues. Like I felt the weight of all of that, like in my body, and depressed, stressed. And I know that because I was holding the unforgiveness, I was holding all of those feelings towards my former spouse while he was out living his life, appearing to be moving forward. And here I am with a headache and a stomach ache and stressed out because I wanted to hold on to that. I was not going to forgive him. Only person I was hurting was me. Another consequence of unforgiveness is what it does to the other relationships in your life, okay? For me, most importantly, it was the relationship with my children. And I found myself, when I was choosing not to forgive, being short with them, not really having any grace, not showing any grace, not displaying any grace towards them, often forgetting that they were going through a hard time as well. You get very self-centered and just forgetting that they're going through this too. They're hurting too. And if I'm walking around as their mom with all of this unforgiveness, then in some way, I am projecting that onto them. And that is not fair in any way. So unforgiveness will definitely hurt your relationships. Let's talk about what forgiveness is not, okay? Forgiveness is not minimizing the offense, okay? Because you choose to forgive, you're not saying that, oh, it's okay. No. Forgiveness doesn't make it okay. Forgiveness makes you okay. Okay? Because the divorce itself, worst thing ever, right? So painful. And if you choose to forgive, you're not saying that it's not painful, that it wasn't hard, that it didn't hurt. But you are saying, I love me enough to know that I need to find a place of wellness and wholeness for myself. And I believe the only way to do that is to forgive. Another thing that forgiveness is not reconciliation, okay? You're not forgiving to get back together with that person. You can forgive somebody and not be reconciled with them. You don't have to be with them. You can forgive them from afar. Let them stay over there while you do your forgiveness thing over here, okay? So forgiveness is not about reconciling, okay? Forgiveness is about, again, and I will probably say this many more times, but forgiveness is about you moving forward so you can get to that place of being well. Also, forgiveness is not forgetting, but you don't get amnesia all of a sudden and forget that I went through this traumatic experience that altered my life, and now I'm finding and learning a new way of living. You don't forget that. It's not amnesia. It's the commitment to make your life better. So you forgive, but you can't, your mind will not let you forget. I say for me that divorce is part of my history. It is part of my story, but divorce is not a part of my everyday life. The effects of the divorce, the things that happened during the divorce, the things that led up to the divorce are not playing a part of my everyday life. Why? Because I chose to forgive, because I chose to do my work, because I chose to walk and move towards being healed. Now, if you don't want to be healed, if you don't want to be better, then there's no way for you to make divorce part of your history. It's going to be part of your everyday life. You're going to be talking about it every day. You're going to be feeling all the feelings of it every day. But I didn't want that. I wanted it to become something that didn't hurt as much. And as the days go by, and then the months go by, and the years go by, it just doesn't hurt like that anymore. Forgiveness is not a one-time thing. You don't say, okay, you're forgiven, and then you just move on. It doesn't work like that. Forgiving is a process. Once you make the decision to forgive, you got to walk out the steps. You got to walk out the steps. Saying it is the first step. Saying, I choose to forgive you, is the first step. And then you begin to walk out the process until you get to that place. You'll know it. You'll know the place when you get there. Other people will recognize it when you get there, because your whole countenance is different. Your language is different. Your body language is different. You look better. You feel better. You're much more positive. That's when you'll know I'm here. I'm in the place of forgiveness. When you can see your former spouse and you don't immediately want to go for their throat. You don't want to cause them harm anymore. You see them. Of course, you know your history, but it's not like this sting anymore. If you're still having the sting, I would suggest that you kind of go back into your forgiveness journey and see what's still going on. Why do I still feel this way? It's not a one-time thing. But let's talk about what forgiveness is, okay? Forgiveness is liberating and healing. Forgiveness is freedom. And it is so wonderful. Remember, it's for you. I am the beneficiary of forgiveness. I benefit from forgiving him. You benefit from forgiving her, forgiving them. Remember, it's for you, and it's liberating, and it is freeing. Forgiveness is also a hard thing to offer. But once I made the decision, I knew that I was offering the forgiveness. And not so much to say to him, I forgive you, because I don't believe that that's necessary. If you feel that it is for you, then you do it. But for me, I wasn't going to approach him and say, I forgive you, because I believe the response that I would have received, for what? And I would have not been ready to hear that response. So when you offer forgiveness, it's not necessarily you're taking it to that person, but you're allowing yourself to say, you know what, I release this, and I offer the forgiveness so that I can be better. Okay. First, it is a decision, but it definitely is not a feeling. It's a choice, and you have to choose to forgive. And once you make that choice, you make that decision, then you walk out the process of it, right? And God gives us grace. He gives us all grace, no matter what the offense is. And he gives you grace while you're walking through the process of forgiveness. He really does. Before I decided to forgive, and I was holding on to the anger and the bitterness, I thought that that was pretty much how I was going to live the rest of my life, just being mad. And as I dove in deeper with therapy and I really took a deep dive of spending time with the Lord and just being quiet, and the divorce care, attending the divorce care group every week, I knew I couldn't stay in that place. It just wasn't, I'm not that person. I knew that I was better than bitter. I knew that I was better than the bitterness and the anger that I was living in. And the only way to be rid of that is to forgive. Y'all, I know it's heavy, and it truly is the F word. But if you want to move forward, if you do not want to carry the weight anymore, you have to forgive. Because you know what? At some point in your life, it could be today, tomorrow, it could be years from now, you will need someone to forgive you. And you extend grace, you receive grace. You extend grace, you receive grace. If you can't forgive, then how can you be forgiven? I know, it's tough. It's definitely not easy. But I believe it is the most crucial part of the healing process. If you can forgive, then the rest of it kind of comes into being. If you can forgive. And I know you may be listening to me today and be like, I am not forgiving. You don't know what she did to me. You don't know what he did to me. You know what? I don't. But I do know what happened to me. And I do know that I was in that place of just not wanting to. But I had to do it, because not only for myself, but I had to do it for my other relationships. Most importantly, the relationship with my children. They didn't deserve me being a bitter person. They didn't deserve me being short with them. Like I said before, they were going through it too. And how could I help them if I was in this place of always being angry, always being upset, always yelling, always being distant? There's no way. I needed to help them as well as myself. And I knew that forgiveness was part of the journey that has to be done. if you want to be healed, if you want to be whole, if you want to be well. Now, if you don't, go on and stay in bitter angerness. Go right ahead and stay in that space because, that's just what you're choosing. We all have a choice. Forgive or not to forgive. That is the question. So I thank you for joining me for this week's session. I appreciate you guys so much. And I hope that something that I said today will help you along your process of forgiveness, because it is definitely a process, my friends. So I would ask if you would leave a comment, subscribe, share, and hit that little bell so you will know when I post a new video. Thank you again, and I just want you all to be well, because the goal is to always be well. See you soon. Take care.